The holidays are coming. Find a gift for someone special with jewelry from Blue Nile. Right now, Blue Nile is offering special Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. Save up to 50% on the season's most stunning trends. Blue Nile offers an endless selection of bold gold styles, gemstone jewelry, and classic diamond pieces. And now, for a limited time, get 36 months special financing on minimum purchases of $1,000. Restrictions apply. See BlueNile.com for details. That's BlueNile.com.
Empire.
Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the John Keim Report. Wherever you get your podcast, you watch it on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Empire Media. That's AMPIRE. Always much appreciated when you tune in. Don't forget, I'll be doing the live stream show with Bram Weinstein, the voice of the Commanders, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Tuesday night. Then I'll have a keys and prediction to the Cowboys game on Thursday. Woo-hoo. So don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. Going to have a story up on Thursday. Talk to Jackie Taylor, Sean Taylor's daughter. Going to have a big story on her. She earned a Division I volleyball scholarship, and she's trying to carry on the legacy of her father with her own athletic exploits and how she's embraced that legacy, what it's been like for her with that. So impressive young lady. So anyways, that'll come out Thursday on ESPN.com. So look for that at that time. I'm going to get to some of the film review in a minute. I'm going to go over some Sam Howell stuff, some running back stuff, some negative big play stuff, all sorts of things. Listen, we all know there was a lot of bad from that game. I'm not here to sit there and go over I'm not going to sit there and nitpick on the offensive line, because we know that guys they're going to be replacing a lot of guys. We know they need some help there. Sam Howell's part of the future. A guy like KJ Henry, is he part of the future? Brian Robinson, part of the future. So I'm going over a lot of those guys. Benjamin St. Juste, part of the future. So I'm going over a lot of those guys because their growth and development matters to the future of this organization, where beyond just these final 6 weeks. Anyways, before I get to that, I want to go over a couple things. One, we met with Ron Rivera on Monday. I'm taping this late Monday night. And we went, just weekly press conference. And of course, his job status is going to be coming up over and over and over again. And I think this is something that, to be honest, I think this is something he can handle. He's handled a lot of crap here over the last 3.5 years, things that are probably a little bit, this is something I think that he could handle. Now it's going to be, do you want 6 weeks of that, of answering the same questions? I don't know. It might be tough for me to handle, but I think for him, the way he views it is he wants to finish what he wants to get to the end line with this team this year, and just try and hand it off, whether it's to himself or he continues, or to someone else, just to get it in the best place possible in their minds. I know from the ownership perspective, they are reluctant to make any sort of a change right now, for a lot of reasons that we've already talked about. Nikki and I talked about this after the game on Sunday. If you want to hear our thoughts, you can go listen to that. And nothing's really changed. So I don't need to go over all the reasons why they're reluctant to do that. So we'll just stick to just the fact that right now he's still the coach. He's going to be the coach. I don't know what happens if they lose in a big, bad way on Thursday. Do the owners make a move? I don't know. I don't know that. I just know that the desire has been to have him see this through this year, and then make a decision. So we'll see. Enough said on that. We'll get to that. I'm sure there'll be plenty of time to talk about that in the future, but it will be a topic going forward. And I think the only thing that he can and should say is the focus is on this game. The focus is on today. You can't start focusing on that. You can't, the question is, you can't break over any of these questions, because then that's not going to be a good look either. Anyway, one of the things I found interesting that he talked about is some of the maturity comments. Now, I don't think he feels like this is an immature team. Now 2 years ago, I think that was definitely a feeling, because he talked a lot about that in training camp. But this time there are some guys I think they feel like still need to mature. And I think some of this you see in the way maybe they celebrate every pass breakup. And, I think that's his comment on that was, you celebrate the big plays, you celebrate the interceptions, the touchdowns, the this, that, but just the plays where you're supposed to make are the ones that just get back up and make the play. And it's funny because, I think that sometimes it's a young thing, but like Emmanuel Forbes, he's had his struggles. Now, I think you want to build that confidence and you want him to play with the kind of swagger that he likes to or needs to, but make the plays first, make some big plays, and then celebrate those. And I think St. Just does a lot of that as well. Those are the plays you're supposed to make. Make all the other plays too, and then you can start to feel, then you'll have a lot more reason to celebrate because, and I'm going to get into this in a minute, some of the plays they didn't make lead to big plays or lead to big negative situations. Anyway, the other part of that game is you can't win when you have 6 turnovers. I know the last one led to the final score, the final touchdown. But the fact that they had 5 turnovers or actually had the ball with a chance to win is an indication of just how bad the Giants are. And yet the Giants are 5-2-1 against this team's in 2020. And I think it's 17 and 36 against everybody else in that time. It's truly, truly amazing what they've done. It's funny because with Chris Rodriguez had a fumble, which surprised me because he's really good at protecting the ball when he's going through the hole. Always getting 2 hands on that ball. This time it looked like he was bracing him. You see his right arm come off. He's kind of bracing for the fall at the end there. And then Okereke comes in and just punches the ball. And just a good job by a linebacker who I think is an outstanding player. But that was one where I was surprised that he fumbled because he's really good at protecting the ball. Logan Thomas, he's had this a couple of times this year, and that's been a killer. The killer for these with the fumbles is that they really were in driving or in a good spot, and then you have Byron Pringle fumbling the opening kickoff. It was a good kick return. You're going to have the ball in a good position and a fumble. So like those 3 plays were as big a play as any in that game. You look at that huge difference. Obviously, the interceptions, of course, were very bad. The first one, the throw, he needs to lead De'Ami Brown out a little bit more across the field because that's where the room to throw is. That's what he's got to do. He's had a couple times this year where that's been the case where he hasn't been able to deliver that pass. The other thing on that play, Logan Thomas shouldn't be there. I think he's got to be cutting outside. Instead, he draws the safety over there. Could have really mucked it up if the throw had been better. But that was the 3 there. That was just not a good throw on that one, and he's got to be better. And so that wasn't good. It's a first down play, so you don't want to see a turnover on a first down play. It's not like would have been like a punt on first down. How's that? Does that make you feel better? I didn't think so. The second one under duress. Looked like the arm was impacted, certainly up for grabs, not very good. Again, that was the 3rd down, and I think it was 3rd and 8, something like that. It was like a bad punt. How's that? It would have been like a 30-some yard punt. But if you either throw the ball away because you really didn't have something there, then you can maybe have Tressway boom one. Maybe you're pinning him inside the 20 instead of giving him the ball at the 35. And I think, it's funny because there are a couple of times where I felt like I wondered if, we saw those plays against New England, some of those terrific, like, how did he do that type throws? And this is the other side of that equation sometimes where you're trying to force things because you've made these big plays. And so you force it a little bit, and it ends up to be a big negative in some of those situations. But anyway, the third one, he's trying to throw it out of bounds. And it's funny because that's what he said after the game. Now, during the game, when you're watching it live, I thought he was trying to Logan Thomas because it was almost a perfect pass to him. But turns out he's trying to throw it out of bounds. And so that's an unfortunate play. The other impression from that game is Dexter Lawrence is fantastic. And I think he might be the most disruptive defensive lineman that they faced all year. He controlled them. That dude is he's as responsible as anybody on that Giants team for both those wins because he destroyed them in the first game. And part of the reason they made the change from Nick Gates to Tyler Larson is because of stoutness inside. Dexter Lawrence is just a great player. He is playing at an all-pro level this year. and the change did not help. He still controlled that game. And what I really like about him, first of all, he's very strong. You watch him he keeps his hands in tight a lot of times, gets inside your chest and gets off there. But he also, I feel like he's a very unselfish player as well, because there are a few times that he's setting up Thibodeau with some stunts and he is taking guys out, and it just frees up Thibodeau. And so to have a guy like that inside is tremendous. And I think he's having an all-pro year. That's all there is to it. He's been very, very good. I like what Wink Martindale, how they create some of those pressures. It's fun to watch, you know what I mean? And just the way, they have some athleticism at linebacker with Simmons, and obviously Thibodeau is a great athlete on the outside, and is where there's 3-point, 2-point, but big key is Lawrence, and just they're going to run all sorts of different things to get pressure and to free guys, and I think they do a great job of that. And sometimes you'd have Simmons lining up over center or over the right guard, and he's doing a loop all the way around the other side. You got guys coming inside and blitzing off that. It's like you're basically trying to, so you almost have to be a traffic cop inside and just keep your eyes going, but it causes you to lose awareness, and it really gets you at that. I think it also sped up Sam Howell, but I'm going to get to that in a minute. Running backs, thought they were much better. I thought the run game was pretty good. And I will say this, good timing, because I think the shot you have to have on Thursday is, I know we all talk about throwing the ball, but I think it's going to be really, really hard to sustain if you're dropping back 50 times against this defense on Thursday, because I just don't see it. You're going to be, the Cowboys do a really good job with movement up front too in some games, et cetera. If you're having trouble with what the Giants did, you're going to get destroyed by what the Cowboys do. So you have to be very smart, but I can get into that keys and predictions, but it's why I think it was important to see that run game start to work a little bit better than it has been. So I thought Brian Robinson ran with a lot of patience for the most part. There are a couple of blips in there, a couple of times where you talk to people like, he bounced this thing a little bit too early or whatever, stick with this run. And it's an 8 or 10 yard run versus a 2-yard run. However, I think for the most part, you saw the patience that he ran with these. I'm going to put up an example, a play where he does a good job pressing the hole. You see it on this particular play. He's going to kick it to the left, and it's going to get up like 6, 7, 8, 10 yards. I think it was 8 yards on that one, but he breaks a couple of tackles. Just a good solid run, but you press the hole, you bring guys in, you cut. That's how you do it. And I think you started to see that. He had an 11-yard run in the first quarter. Just again, very good patience and a good cut on a little split zone run. He had a couple of times he had some jump cuts, and he did a nice job setting up some blockers at times with that patience. So if you show that patience, then the blockers got a chance to get to their guy, but you're also sucking guys in and causing them to hesitate. And there was a 6-yard run. He has a little delay, presses the hole, cuts to the right, and you have Lawrence with a foot tackle attempt, doesn't get him, but he gets a good, Robinson finishes with a good 6 yards, 18-yard run around left end, really like this one, gets up, presses the hole well, causes Okereke to pause. That allows Charles Leno to get to him, and then that opens up the outside. So that's what the benefit of being patient, and it felt like Robinson was really running well in this game. And again, I think for Thursday, it's what you're going to have to do if you want to have a prayer in this game. So how much you do, we'll see, but I think it's definitely something. And again, I talked about Rodriguez. I think he ran pretty well too. The funny thing is, like, one of the biggest plays that he should have had was off the screen game, because there was one screen they threw to him on the left. You have Chris Paul and Larson out front. You have one linebacker there, and they couldn't block him. And if you block him, it's a really good run. But you don't, so it's not. And so it's just you throw it on that missed opportunity pile, which is going to create a bonfire for this team at the end of the year, because there's a lot of missed plays on that pile.
In sports, the scoreboard doesn't tell the full story, but Netflix does. Stories about dads who happen to be world-class quarterbacks and a battle for the heart, soul, and direction of the multi-billion-dollar business of F1. Whether you're a diehard fan or you're brand new, Netflix has the stories for every type of fan. You can watch these incredible sports stories like Quarterback, F1 Drive to Survive, Untold, and many more now on Netflix.
There is so much to be thankful for: family, friends, food, and NFL football all week long. DraftKings Sportsbook is keeping your Thanksgiving week full of action. New customers can bet just $5 on the NFL action to score $150 instantly in bonus bets. No matter your appetite, there's something for you. Money lines, parlays, props, live bets, and so much more. You name it, they've got it. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code KEIM, K-E-I-M. New customers can bet $5 on the NFL Thanksgiving action to score $150 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL with code KEIM. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. Please play responsibly. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, must be 21 or older in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
KJ Henry. So I actually, and Ron Rivera singled him out in his press conference today, or excuse me, today, I guess it is because it's still Monday. So he singled him out today on Monday just for some of the plays made, pretty good pass rushes. There was one play in particular that was a good veteran type play. And it was, there's the tackle tries to cut block him, but he does a good job just kind of not allowing him to do it, push down, jumps up, almost gets the interception, but it was a play that Rivera was talking about as far as like where the coaches thought it was just a good, almost like a veteran type play. And if you remember when Ryan Kerrigan was a rookie, I think it was, he made a similar type play, but he picked it off, returned it for a pick six. And that was back in the day when things were a lot rosier than they are now. Anyway, so that was a good job by Henry. I thought he did a nice job. Now, what kind of a player can he be overall? I think this is what the next 6 weeks will help determine is what level could he maybe ascend to? Is he just going to be kind of a quality backup rotational guy? Probably. There are sometimes in his pass rush where it looks like he really kind of turns a lot and ends up losing because of that. He rounds off some of those rushes a little bit too much. And so I think that's something he's going to have to work on. But the more you get on film, you can watch yourself doing that, because sometimes when you round yourself, you're just losing power and you're kind of squaring into the blocker, and you're making it easier on him. So I think that's something he's going to have to work on. But again, the more you get on film, the more you have a chance to watch what you do. But he did make some plays. He's had a couple plays now in a few weeks. So that's a good thing for him and for them. And, again, the question can he be a strong backup for them? Is that what his ceiling is? I don't know. So a couple of things on some of the big plays too. That was a lot, especially that 40-yard touchdown run. That was pretty bad. So the one thing that was noticeable on that 40-yard play, first of all, it's not Kendall Fuller's guy. So that's, if you watch him, he's kind of he's off to the outside. That's just, you're not going to expect him to cover him in that receiver in that situation. You're just not. He's not in position to do that. So you need help. So what you saw there right before the snap is Percy Butler was shouting something. He kind of making a gesture, and he's shouting something to, up in front of him, you have Cam Curl going with the motion guy. You have Danny Johnson on the right covering. And I don't know that Johnson heard the call, because what should happen is that he's going to stay back and cover the guy coming across, and then Kendall Fuller's coming over the top to help with that. But you have Percy Butler taking the guy, I think it was Hodges, number 18, going up. And so then everybody's got it covered, and it's just, no harm, no foul. And you may get him for a sack because maybe everybody's covered. But that's what happens there is that but again, it starts with Butler. Butler's trying to communicate. Clearly the message didn't get through because it was messed, it didn't get executed. So for whatever reason, and, I don't know, I just know that that's what happened. And it's unfortunate because it leads to another huge play. Then you have, Butler, to be honest, has actually been kind of playing fairly well the last couple of games. The hard part is, I say that last week he had the missed tackle on the long touchdown run, which was a killer. But aside from that, it's actually been much better for him lately. And I think, that play again was not on him and it was not on Fuller. And again, I'm not necessarily, that would, if the call is heard, then I think Danny Johnson knows what he's supposed to do. It's just that there's sometimes some confusion out there, and you have to keep asking yourself, why is that? So we all have our own theories, and bottom line is it keeps happening, and it shouldn't. So, but on that one, the safety's trying to communicate it, just didn't get hurt. The other big play, that this is one where it's the first drive of the game, or one of the early drives. I think it leads to a touchdown, 3rd down and 13. You have St. Just. It's a 1-by-3 set. So you got one receiver on the left, you got 3 on the right, and St. Just is covering inside the number 2 guy, the inside receiver on that, the guy in the middle receiver. And anyway, on the play, I'm pointing this out because that there are 3 guys on that side to your side, so that so the tight end goes over the middle. He's just a valve. He's about 2 or 3 yards in front of the line of scrimmage. Again, 3rd down and 13. Well, that means there's no one else in front of you. So what does that mean? It means somebody's behind you. And so St. Just on that one gets a little bit caught up looking at the tight end, who is really not a threat here, because if you drop a couple more yards, it's a 3rd and 13. He's still, even if he catches it, he's starting with the ball 10 yards from the line of scrimmage or from the first down marker. But you've got to protect what's behind you. You've got to drop a couple more yards, but his eyes get caught looking at the tight end. It's not, as we say, look at your work. That's not the work for him. Cam Curl's there. If you drop 2 more yards, then you're going to be able to rally to the ball. So that's something where, again, it's a lesson, but you got to know that by now. That guy's not the threat. The threat is always behind you. And especially in a situation where you can rally to the ball, you've got to be aware of where you need to be. And the other problem on that one, not enough pressure. Now, they did sack him 9 times, so there was a lot of pressure on him. But that particular play, no pressure. And if there is quick pressure, better pressure, you're checking it down right away. You rally, you get off the field. Instead, you complete a pass over St. Just, who gets caught looking at the tight end where he shouldn't have looked. Now you're on a touchdown drive. So that was just, those are the little things that have to stop happening. So when you talk about details, that's it. That's just a detail. And, again, why does that keep happening? At some point, like we can always blame coaching, but I know what I can sit here and tell you, this is what you're supposed to do here. Your job now is to go out and do it. So there's an equal blame. There's a blame all around here. But the bottom line is, as you're saying this, I'm saying the same thing. Doesn't matter. It keeps happening. Get it fixed one way or another. That's the job. The Adventure Park at Sandy Springs holiday sale is here. Save 30% or more on climbing and zip lining gift certificates, season passes, axe throwing packages, and more. Our families have enough stuff. This year, give the gift of experience and adventure. With 8 different levels, 16 courses, 250 climbing obstacles, and over 4,000 feet of zip lines, there is something for everyone. Visited already this year? The courses evolve with the trees around them, so each experience has something new to offer. Named Best Amusement Park in the DMV 2 years in a row, this is an opportunity you won't want to miss. This is their biggest sale of the year, and purchases never expire. While the sale runs until Christmas Day, the earlier you buy, the bigger the savings. The perfect gift for families, coworkers, and friends alike is waiting for you at www.theadventurepark.com/kind. That's www.theadventurepark.com/kind. And that's KEIM. So let's get to Sam Howell, because that's the guy that matters most here. in the development for this franchise, for him, et cetera. One of the things I thought happened in this game for him is that he played a little bit quicker than he has in some of the recent games, and that's a byproduct. This is one of the things when you have the pressure that he's had on him in terms of pass rush, that it's natural at some point to get sped up. Now, I haven't seen him sped up like this in other games to this. It wasn't like it was boom, 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 right? But there were a couple of times where I thought the decisions that he made would have been different had he been a little bit more patient with himself and a little bit less quick, right? And whereas last week, there were a couple of times where I thought he got rid of the ball a little bit early, but not with any damage, and it still would gain yards. It's just that there were a couple of things that maybe you could have gotten 15, 20 yards on, but here there were some chances where like, yeah, that one was not the same thing. And it was a little bit quicker than he probably wanted to. I think that first pass in the red zone, if you remember, it was a first down where he throws it to Logan Thomas. That's an example too, where you get to that drop and boom, you're out. The problem is that the ball's on Logan as he's turning, which is fine, but it's low and inside, and he was not ready for it. So I think, that's one where you just take a little bit, not quite as fast on your drop there, and you got it. The other problem with that play was when you read the linebacker and he's coming over, that means the backside guy is there, and that was Curtis Samuel. Would have been a touchdown. But again, I think it's still a touchdown to Logan if it's at a little bit better pace and rhythm. And the pace and the rhythm of the pass game against the Giants just never is there. And I think it's just that there's a disruption up front that they just can't handle, which is why you have to be concerned for Thursday. And it's why they're going to have to invest a lot in this group in the offseason. All right. So there were a couple times too, where, you maybe you hit your plan step, and then there was one to Terry McLaurin where it's like you hit that plan step and you got to kind of hitch a couple times for a slant inside. And, are you just do you feel sped up because it's rushing? I don't blame him. This pass rush has got to him in New York, of course, 6 sacks. And it's the first time he's faced a team like that for a second time. So I wouldn't be, and I think Wink Martindale kind of can get in your head a little bit with things. The funny thing is they sent, in the first game, they sent a five-man pressure 22 times. This time it was only 10. So it wasn't like they were doing a lot, but you can screw with the guy's head and make, you can show some things and get them to think that you're going to do it and maybe back out of some things. You send some overload. So it's really a 4-man rush, but an overload, and that can get you sped up as well. And I think it all kind of had effect at times, not completely. It's not like this is Nikki and I talked about at the game. It's not a linear progression here. It's here's another game to put in your bag that you can learn from. Here's another game you can put in your bag to learn from. And you start to learn, like, what are you learning from all these? What are the constant themes or common themes throughout these games? It's not okay, today, you're not writing your journal. Today I learned this and I'm going to be better here. Well, there are things you can learn from it, but it's usually just applying its pieces of the puzzle here. And you get another one. It's like, okay, make sure you're getting to your plan step at the proper pace. Now, we'll also say sometimes the receivers are not running it at their pace too. There's one time where there was like 3 receivers in an area where there were like 2 guys kind of could cover you. And like, that's never acceptable. But a lot of that is the release off the line, how you're coming off the line, and the pace you're supposed to be going at. If you're all going the same pace, you're all going to get there at the same time. And it's not always the good thing. So, and it leads to a clogged area, and that's details of the game. And, one of the things I thought with Bieniemy that, we heard a lot about details and how it's going to be better. I think there are some things that they are, but it's not clean. It's not clean. That's why there's more that this group has to go through, or that there's more that this group will go through. But I think the rest of the season really is about what can this offense do? Will they get better? If so, where? And I think this is one of the things. There was a bubble that, it looked like a bubble, but it really wasn't, to Pringle to the right side. And I put bubble in air quotes because it looks like a bubble, except that the two receivers that side who normally in a bubble would be blocking. It was Dotson and McLaurin. They're running routes. So I don't know why Howell went to him right away, because it almost looks like then, okay, is this a swing pass safety valve? But it didn't. It didn't look like that's where he should go. And in fact, you have Dotson breaking open over the middle. There's a good pocket. You have Dotson coming over the middle. Would be like 15, 20-yard game, but he's open. He's going to be open. And it's not just because he's thrown over here. You see the linebacker reacting, like there's a gap that he's getting to. It's a well-designed play. So I'm not sure why Howell went there so fast, because it wasn't like the rush dictated that he needed to get rid of it now. And that's just one where maybe you're just sped up a little bit mentally, and that's the result of it. And by the way, on that play, the next play, it's a sack. So then that kind of disrupts the drive. So it's, again, throw down the missed opportunity bonfire that we're going to have at the end of the year for this season. Then, but I mean, that's what happened, because the pass to Pringle lost like 2 or 3 yards. So not a good sequence, but it starts with just you don't need to get rid of the ball that fast. Not every time, especially when there's no rush, and especially you see that look, and Dotson's going to be open. On the last series, there was one play where he throws it away. I think it was like a first down. He throws it away out of bounds. This one, he does get out of bounds. Again, there is some pressure coming, but you have Logan Thomas over the middle. And if you get it to him, because he's open and it's in your vision, you get it to him, he may get 10 yards. He's crossing midfield. There's still, at that point, if he would have crossed midfield, maybe gets to the 45, there would have, at that point, when the play started, it was like 1 minute and 19 seconds left. So there'd have been more than a minute left when you get there. They did not get to that point until there were like 29 seconds left. That's how long it took to go from here to here. And if it's some of it, throws it out of bounds. So he saved himself that, which is fine. But again, take a minute. You got it here. The pocket didn't suggest that you had to do it right now. I just think that sometimes they just sped it up a little bit. And the funny thing is, I don't worry about how Howell gets affected by these games, because he's always bounced back, and people there do not worry about him. I think they are convinced that they have their guy. And, I think these last 4 weeks are an example of why you want to see it take some time. Let it play out. You don't need to make a decision now. His decision isn't going to be made. The decision on Sam Howell is not going to be made today, tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. So it's going to be, take these 17 games. What did you see? What do you like? How do you evaluate it? And whoever's coaching next year will then make the decision. I mean, again, if it's this staff, if it's Bieniemy, it's going to be this kid. If it's someone else, who knows? Because we don't know what a new GM or a new coach would like or want. But you give, just see how it goes for 70 games. You don't measure a guy by 3 games, by 4, by even 10 or 11. You measure it, go for the course of the season. Let's see where he goes. And that's worth watching as it goes. Now, the other thing is, it's the same thing, it's the same thing like Thursday against Dallas. They're going to have a really good pass rush. So it's not like it's all on Howell, like everything rests on him as far as, well, if he doesn't do well, it's all his fault. Well, that's not the case, because there are definitely times where he bails them out because, Dexter Lawrence gets through and he sees it and he steps over and he gets away from it and he gets 20 yards. Shoot, the touchdown run was a hell of a run. And, he's able to squeeze up inside there. So there are a lot of plays that kid makes, even in a bad game for this team. There are definitely some plays that he makes where you say, okay, there are always flashes of good, and you saw it, but some of these ones that haven't showed up as much certainly showed up the other day. And but the other part is on the touchdown drive late in the game where Dotson scores. First of all, I really like that play, because you have Thibodeau starts rushing inside. Howell keeps his eyes up, just kind of takes a couple steps to his left, keeps his vision and put himself in a better position to make that throw to Dotson on the out, in the corner of the end zone, just a front corner of the end zone, just a really good throw, but a nice job by Howell, eyes up, step, boom, bullet. And it's just a nice, accurate throw. Had a good ball to De'Ami Brown several plays before that Brown drops. And listen, I don't you can't say he's going to score on that, but I do say he's going to have a chance to, if you break one tackle, which he's a bigger receiver, so he can, relatively compared to what, but for them, he's a bigger receiver, but he's got some strength. So you break through that. Now it's a touchdown. Now you just saved yourself maybe a minute or so off that clock. And, that's the result, but he just dropped it. So, not good for him. So there were, like I said, with Howell, there's always going to be good stuff. We know his toughness. We know that, there's, again, the good ball to Dotson, and, some nice slants to McLaurin. I mean, but by and large, though, what I want to talk about with this game was the, some of how the rush, I felt like, sped him up. And is it just this team? Because the Giants have done this twice now to him, whereas like Philly, he wasn't like that, but the Eagles have a different pass rush. So I'll be curious to see what happens. This is why I'm curious to see what happens Thursday with him, not, from win-loss, whatever, but just how does he respond to that game? Just from 3 interceptions. We can look at each one and say why. Bottom line is there are 3 interceptions. So, how do you come back from that? And then how do you handle that pass rush? It's not all on him, but it does impact his game. So I think it's all worth watching, all curious to see. There's a lot. It's like one game doesn't change how you should feel about a guy in a bad way. I mean, if people are saying, see, I told you so, well, he played pretty well the last few weeks. So Sunday wasn't his best game. Where does he go from here? It's all part of the learning process. If you make a decision, I mean, listen, everybody can make up their mind, can have your own opinion. However, just be patient, because it takes more than half a year, 10, 11, 12 games to really fully accurately assess what you have in a guy, good or bad. Now, if you're just lights out, CJ Stroud is lights out. That guy is different. Sam Howell is still developing. They're not at the same, CJ Stroud is a damn good thrower. Howell can be a very good quarterback. They're different styles, but, in different skill levels. So that's why I say, like, for Howell, just because one guy's doing this doesn't mean they all should be doing this. What Stroud is doing is very unique. I think what Howell is doing is more typical. And there's a lot. Listen, I'll tell you what, man, I take him every day of the week over Kenny Pickett. So there are a lot of guys to like with him that you would like, that you like him ahead of in this league. And so I think that's why, see where it goes from him over the next 6 games. Anyway, that's it. Again, I'm going to end my little spiel there. So that's it for me. I appreciate you tuning in, still having an interest in what I have to say about the on the field product and, or just some of the film stuff. We all know it's bad. 4-7, that's what they are. I'll be back Tuesday night with Bram Weinstein, the voice of the Commanders, 7:30 Eastern time live stream. Join us then. Bring your angst, bring your questions, bring whatever you want, and bring a drink. Have a drink while you're listening to the show, and have some fun, because right now it ain't a lot of fun, folks. So I'll talk to you next time.